anyway.
Of
Yeah.
everything.
I was looking for what I sent in. I couldn't find it, so I'm going to ring.
It's that organized mind, isn't it, Tony? It's that organized
Yeah,
mind.
well, no.
All right, everybody, welcome back. As you can see, I'm already laughing on this one. So I'm here today with Tony Ærcyus Christie. He's a messenger of oneness. Tony was a firm believer in keeping going. I remember this. As a senior manager, raising 4 children and training and competing in triathlons, he was more than capable of doing all these things and more, or so he thought. And it took a period of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion to bring him to a stop and to consider that there must be a better way. So he left his management job, studied various forms of holistic therapies, and experienced many more through his quest for peace and fulfillment. As his mind quietened, he began accessing insights and messages for the benefit of humanity. So Tony works with the Labyrinth as a tool for personal and spiritual growth, and has shared the insights and wisdom that he received in his book Labyrinth, Your Path to Self-Discovery, and in his Labyrinth Wisdom Cards. His exploration of the Labyrinth led him to found a new form of healing that he calls Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing. So today we're going to be talking about what Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing is with Tony and how that can help with your emotional regulation. Tony, you're very welcome.
Thank you, and delighted to be here, Karen.
It's wonderful. I love meeting this man, and I've been to your hometown a few times, and I keep saying must ring that man and get a go on the Labyrinth out the back.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me, sort of in broad terms, for someone who's never experienced a Melchizedek Labyrinth healing before,
Yeah.
what would that be like for them? How would you describe what would happen to them during a session?
Yeah, I mean, on a practical level, I just hold up a labyrinth here. What I use a lot of the time is this. It's a finger labyrinth. It's got a groove in it, and this is the Melchizedek labyrinth. It's also known as the Cretan labyrinth or classical labyrinth. And so, what the person is going to be doing, and people can do this in person or they can do it online. So I do a lot of work online with people. I send them something like this that they can print out so they have it, and they trace it with their finger. And as they're tracing the labyrinth with their finger, I hold a divining rod or a dowsing rod. And the rod will move at different times. And when the rod moves like that, the person is to stop on that point on the labyrinth. So on each point on this labyrinth has a meaning and significance.
Okay.
So people may be familiar with their chakras or their energy centers. There are 7 main ones down from the top of our head to the base of our spine. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the center. So depending if you stop in one of these, wherever they stop, it's going to be related to one of the chakras. And what happens is that in tuning into the person's energy and the divining rod picking up on the person's energy, it's either clearing some old stuff, some blocks that they're ready to let go of, or it's bringing in more energy for them in that particular area. So and a person can stop, but this takes about 30 minutes. Like, it looks very small, but somebody can stop 10 or 20 or 30 times on it. And there are also layers to this. So there's the cross here divides the labyrinth into 4. Yeah, and these are related to the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And earth is about grounding. So if people stops here, it means that they need more grounding or they're getting more grounding. If it's the air, it's their spiritual aspect, that there's something coming through, might be in their power center, their spiritual power being enhanced. The fire is always about bringing in more energy for people. And then this small section down here is the emotions, which, but the 3, you see, the interesting thing is you enter on the 3rd circuit which is the solar plexus of the power center. So it's symbolic of stepping into your own power, that you're ready to make changes, you're ready to move, to deal with stuff in your life, or you're ready to move on to your next stage of existence, whatever that is. And the labyrinth is a tool for helping and supporting you in doing that. And it found me 20 years ago, and I'm still playing with it. So yeah, there's one here in the wall behind me. I inverted it, but
I see it. I see it. So tell me then, so I have a session with you and we're going through it, and the rod says stop now, and I figure out where I am, what layer I'm at, what chakra I'm at, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, and then we talk about that for a while. What kind of transformations, or what do people generally notice after a session?
Yeah, I mean, and just to clarify, that's the first part. The second part is bringing in and accumulating. The practitioner accumulates the energy in the cup of their hands and transmit it to the chakras, the energy centers as well. I think to answer your question, I printed off one or two feedbacks that I had recently. So
Lovely.
let me just read this. First of all, this is from a lady called Sandy in the United States. So this was an online session.
Okay.
Tony's Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing process is beyond amazing. It's not like anything I have ever felt or experienced before. As we progressed through the process, I could distinctly feel when there were stuck energies inside me, and I could feel them as they released and as new energies flowed in and expanded. The sensations in my body and in different chakras gave messages about what was happening. Tony's guidance was perfect and kept everything holding or flowing at exactly the perfect pace. My energy fields expanded, both huge and grounded at the same time compared to before the session. I am filled with light and love. I haven't felt this smiley in a long time.
I
So
love that.
yeah, it's beautiful, and it's so wonderful to to see and experience people, the shifts that are happening for people, and it only the labyrinth meets you where you're at. So it's not like it's a forceful energy. It's a very supportive, gentle energy, but it's also very powerful.
Mm.
So in tracing the path of the labyrinth, when you stop, you're ready to let go of, and almost always people let go of some block or some emotion or some fear or whatever it might be that they find that they're able to let go of because they've been focusing on that, or it's been prominent, in their life, or they say, oh, I wish I didn't feel like this, or I wish I was able to deal better with this situation, whatever that might be. So there's often a release of the energy that's blocking you or blocking the person, and then bringing in, and once there's a release, there's space for something new to come in. So a new energy or new ways of dealing with a situation can present themselves for somebody. So it's
What you just said there to me is the big key to transformation that people get when they do any kind of work or healing, is
yeah,
that you're releasing something, but that space that's created after the release
yeah,
becomes a void,
yeah.
which can become full of negativity if you don't purposefully fill it with something good.
And that's it. I often say it to myself or to say to people, we're going around 100% full, So if we want to bring in something new, we have to let something old go.
Yes.
And life for me is a series of endings and beginnings, So there comes a stage where we say, okay, I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to be dealing with this. I don't want to be feeling the fear, or I don't want to be feeling the anger or the anxiety. And I want to feel calmer about whatever it is that I'm looking to deal with.
Hmm.
Because life is about, for me, it's about dealing with whatever situation presents itself. So you can either deal with it in the current state, which might be from fear or anxiety or feel like running away or just can't cope with this situation, or you can find some way of letting that go and
Hmm.
then bringing in new ways of dealing with it. And for me, the labyrinth is just a wonderful way of doing that. Now, what this also does is it gives people insight. There are, and I'm a Reiki master and I practice a lot of other different forms of healing. Um, but what this does, it gives a very precise insight into what's happening when you stop at a particular point. I can explain to you what that point
Hmm.
means. And there are lots of other different points. There's layers and dimensions. There's one of the turning points. It's about your relationship with other people.
Okay.
And a lot of the time, we're either, you know, taking on too much of other people's stuff, or we're giving too much of ourselves away, and it's about finding a balance. And oftentimes when people stop at that point, it's about finding the balance in life, so that when you're relating to other people, you're not taking on all their energies and all their stuff, and you're not giving away too much of your stuff. You're finding that balance, within
So
yourself.
if
Yeah.
somebody stops, say, on the fourth chakra line, say the heart chakra,
Yes.
do you go down top, bottom, or up?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
So you start here, you go, that's the third one, then you come
Yeah,
out to the second, then you come to the first. So you go from the third, your solar plexus, to the second, to the first.
first.
And it actually grounds you. And people can feel, I mean,
Yeah.
talking, my feet are
Okay.
getting hot.
So if somebody goes to the first, to the grounding one, to the bottom chakra, the base
Yes.
chakra, right?
Yeah.
And if they're stuck, then say it depends where in
It
the
depends on
line.
where, because oftentimes it's here is that they just need more grounding, that
Right.
that if people, speaking from experience of people, if they've had shocks in their life, or they might say get a tendency, just I don't want to be here, almost out of the body in some
Yes.
situations.
Yeah.
So the first thing that this does, it grounds them, but it grounds you, grounds me from my solar plexus, from my power center down. So a lot of groundings that I would have learned previously were from the sole of the feet or from the root
Mm.
chakra. But this is from your power center. So
Okay.
it's a very powerful grounding. And it almost seems like a contradiction, but the more grounded you are, the more higher information you can bring through
Yes.
because you have
Yeah.
a more solid foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
you mentioned, the heart chakra, then you go from the third, and it jumps from the third, from the root chakra to the heart, because the heart
Yes.
is the connection between earth and heaven. And then
Hmm.
it jumps from the heart to the top of the head. So what it is, it's like if people can imagine a chalice, it makes a type of a chalice of your energy field. So the bottom tree is creating the base or the foundation.
Okay.
Then it goes to the heart, and most chalices have a little knob in the stem, which is
Yeah.
represents the heart center. And then you go to the top to bring in, because you have a solid foundation, you can bring in a lot more light and love, and start living your life from there with that
And
additional energy and knowing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's the amalgamation of them all then into the one that
Yes.
that
And so
allows you to live.
what people feel then, it aligns and centers all the chakras, but it's also, there's layers of energy field. So the seven circuits are almost like if there were seven layers to your energy field. So it clears your whole energy and it realigns. So people feel always, well, almost always, I better be careful. In my
You're
experience to
getting there.
date, everybody who has done this has felt
Yeah.
more centered, more relaxed, more at peace.
Yeah.
So and there's a peace of mind that comes. Yeah, see, part of the reason I'm still doing this 20 years later is I can't explain it all fully. That there's
Yeah.
a magic, or there's an additional energy to this that I'm still um, working on or trying to figure out.
The known
And
unknown.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
it's all positive,
Yes.
and
Oh
that's
yeah.
the beautiful thing. No, again, when you're letting go of stuff, sometimes you feel the experience or the memory of whatever it was prompted that feeling initially, whether it's a
Mhm.
feeling of fear or anger or whatever that might be. But at the end of this healing, people always feel calmer, more centered, and most of the time have a quiet mind,
Yeah.
which is actually when you feel it first, it's quite a strange sensation because there's nothing happening. It's like, oh, no thought.
No thought.
Yeah,
I love when we do get to the point where we actually have that quiet mind, because it's not an easy thing to achieve in today's world. We're bombarded
yes,
continuously with information, with
yeah,
news, and then everyone's striving to have those connections with other people to feel that they belong somewhere. And
yes,
then
yeah,
you just forget sometimes to just stop
yeah,
and just let it be. And this sounds like it's wonderful. And for me, from an emotional regulation point of view, this really does bring in that grounding that a person needs to
mm,
feel safe within themselves, to feel like that they are comfortable within themselves.
yeah.
They can reach that nothing going on in the mind state.
Yes, so from the emotional point of view, it works through almost all the emotions that are prominent at that time or at the time that you're doing it.
Right.
So, and it'll bring about, I talked about aligning the chakras, but that's also aligning the emotions because different emotions can get held in the different chakra centers, or even primarily in the second. I call it the second one. Um, I just, before
Sacred.
we started, I picked out a card. Yeah, I have a deck of Labyrinth
Love
cards.
it. Love it.
And this is the second
Emotions.
chakra, emotion. Yeah. And I did all these images myself, and I thought this was too jaggedy and too a bit drastic, But then sure, emotions are a bit like that, aren't they? They can
Emotions
be a
can
bit.
be, yes,
Yeah.
they can, of
But
course.
the key, and when I was looking at it, the key is that we're always experiencing more emotions. So there's always emotions coming to us. So this person,
Yes.
lady or man, is standing in the stream of emotions.
Yeah.
And if you try to block them and reject them and keep them
Mm.
away, they build up and they can become overwhelming. And
Absolutely.
likewise, if you take on everything, they can also become overwhelming. So the key is to kind of stand in the stream of your emotions, but just allow them to be and allow them to pass and say, oh, here's sadness, or here's anger, or here's grief, or here's happiness and joy. This too shall pass.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and there's
exactly. Yeah,
another
nothing lasts forever.
there's another one
Yeah.
coming. and yeah, these are all kind of smiley faces. Some of them are angry and some of them are confused and some of them are happy, so this is the stream of your emotions, but it's allow them to be. And if you can allow them to be and observe, well, then you step back and you're above the emotions. You're observing.
Yes.
Oh, and rather than saying I'm angry, or say, oh, there's anger in me, and where is that coming from? And indeed, a lot of, not a lot of people, but some people, when they're doing the labyrinth healing, anger does come up, and they're able to let it go, because if something comes up, well, that's the prompt to say this
Mhm.
is time to, okay, let's see, can we let some of this go, if not all of it go? And
Yeah.
the labyrinth does that, and the rod can spin, and you're going to think me I'm doing this. So the rod can spin like this, and depending on how it's spinning or what the energy coming through the rod is, I can interpret whether it's actually clearing or whether it's bringing in energies. And in my own work, I've become very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, most of the time, I feel what the person is feeling, regardless of where they are. They could be in Los Angeles, you know what I mean, here in Ireland. And I will feel, oh, you're getting butterflies in your stomach, kind of a feeling. Go, yeah, how did you notice? I can feel. And I don't know how this happens either, but whatever I'm feeling, I will identify, because that's a prompt, or that helps the person identify it themselves and say, oh yeah. And oftentimes the people will know, that whoever is listening, you know what it's about, or who it relates to, or what event in your past might have prompted this initially. And then if you're at that stage, then you're ready for it to go, and
Yeah.
it'll go. It'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That insight is amazing when people get it, when it comes and they go, oh, I remember
Yeah.
what this is about. Yeah.
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 And then the release, then, as you say, I actually, one of the things I love about this is that it's so gentle in its approach, because a lot of people are afraid to look at what's going on inside. They put on this front on the outside of, oh no, everything's wonderful in my life.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to look at what's inside, because a lot of people are afraid this is going to hurt too much, or it's going to be overwhelming, or it's going to wreck my life. It's going to turn my life upside down. Whereas the
Yeah.
way you're describing it, I'm getting the sense of this lovely, gentle approach of, if
Yes.
you're ready to let this go,
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Yeah. If something comes up when I'm working with anytime anything comes up, it's the person is ready.
Yes.
So while the memory of the experience they had might be a little bit upsetting, but they're ready to let all that go, and it's like there's a huge release and relief and uh, uh, you know joy, actually, dare I
Yeah.
say, there's joy
Yeah.
underneath. I've experienced this myself, actually, the joy underneath everything, but it's a matter of either getting to the bottom of it or just letting it go, and allow yourself. So okay, I'm letting that go. I'm not going to carry that memory, that energy, that emotion with me anymore. I'm open to being different, to being
Yeah.
new, to experience who I am, on a deep level. And you said something earlier. I'm trying to remember exactly how you put it, but it's like um, that you can only be what's the word? You can only be with people as you are with yourself. So if you're not
Yes.
fully with yourself, well, then you can't be fully with other people.
Other people.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember a spiritual teacher I spent time with. He asked me one time, "Are you ready to marry yourself?" Which was I
It's a
couldn't
sweet
answer. I opened my
word.
mouth and nothing came out.
There was no I do. Do I like myself enough to marry myself?
And then I realized I can only love somebody else or love other people as much as I'm able to love myself.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of work to do.
Well, I think we all do.
Now I should, and there's always more, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, well, we're just a big onion, really. We're layers and
Yeah,
layers upon layers. So there's always
yeah,
something.
yeah,
There's another
yeah.
layer if you want to go look for it, but you've choice whether you go look for it or not.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But I think I found that the more you do, or the more you allow yourself
Much,
to feel what you're feeling and let it go and clear, it gets easier. You
much,
know,
much.
it
Those
gets
early
easier.
days were hard.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
lot of work back then. But yeah, the more you do it, I think, and again, for me, it comes back to that fear factor of, I know that I'm going to be okay at the other side of this. So
Yes,
it's okay to go
yeah,
through it, because coming out the
yeah,
other side and coming out again, if you're letting go of something, you're refilling with something else. So I'm going to come
yeah,
out with something better, something more beneficial,
yes,
and
yeah, yeah.
having learned a lot along the way. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And learning is brutal sometimes, but it's great.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I keep saying we'll only what comes up is will only come up what we're ready
Or
and
ready to let go.
able to deal with,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
or we've been thinking about, you know, because
Yeah.
most people who went for healing, and when I was going for my, you know, different healings myself, and I still go
Mm-hmm.
for one every now and again, you know, I'm happy to have a live-in wife who has wonderful abilities in that
Very handy.
regard.
Very handy.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that I forgot what I was going to say now. But that it's we're always, you know, I think recognizing that maybe you need a little bit of support in this, or
Yeah.
that maybe somebody else can give me more insights into what's happening so that they can help and support me in letting go
Oh,
of, you know, these
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
overpowering emotions, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, and it's about, as you say, regulating the emotions, bringing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think nobody like I have this conversation with people on a regular basis, those who are in the work or doing the work that I do or the work that
Mm,
you do or whatever, and we always say the same thing that none of us are immune to life. You know,
no,
yeah,
no, yeah,
we everyone has stuff happen to them or come up for them or
yeah,
again, like what you were saying, it'll only come up when it's ready to be looked at. Your unconscious mind knows, right, you're in a good place now, let's deal with this, you know,
mm,
and it brings
yeah,
it up. And sometimes I'd like it to leave me in a good place a bit longer before it decides there's something else to look at. But
yes.
it's to go and put
Yeah, yeah,
yourself in the hands of somebody you trust, to go
yeah.
and put yourself in the hands of somebody who can help you and get you to where
Mm,
you need to go.
yeah,
And that's the humanness of everybody, is that
yeah,
we
yeah,
all have those layers, we all have that stuff,
yeah,
and
and
we all need
and there
support.
are many different therapists out there, you know, so it's
Oh
fine
yeah,
when you resonate with it, that feels right for you, you know, don't force
yeah.
yourself
But also the one you
something
had
that doesn't
last year may
feel
not
right.
be the one for this year, you know.
Yeah,
So I always
yeah,
think like really take a minute to assess what's going on for yourself and then tune into, well, what do I need here?
yeah,
And
yeah,
where which direction do I need to go? Because sometimes it's the very standard routes of I just need to sit down and talk to somebody for a number of weeks. And sometimes it's like, no, I need someone to put their hands on me and I need to get a
yeah,
healing or
yes,
that
yeah,
I
yeah.
need to have a labyrinth in front of me so that I can figure out what the heck is going on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you mentioned two, actually, two. You mentioned why is this happening to me, or why is this happening for me?
For me.
There's
Yeah.
you know, there's a great distinction there because
Yeah.
when you say why is this what is this happening for, or when you then you're standing back and looking at it, and it's my belief that, you know, I better be careful how I say this, that we've chosen all the experience to have. And some of
Yes.
them, why would I have chosen that? You know, but we've chosen it so that we can work through it, experience the emotions of it, and then when we come out the other side, that we're there to support others who may be in a similar situation.
Yeah.
But it's about um, um, loving more, learning to love more. That's really where I've come to that. What life is about. It's about learning
Yeah.
to love more.
It's
Um,
that self-compassion piece. The,
Yes, and love
the
myself
humility.
first, you know,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
in a not in a
Your
narcissistic
mask on
way,
first. Yeah. Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but you know, to feel, and it's a feeling. It's not a thinking.
No,
it's from the
no. It's
heart, you know.
definitely
So it's
healing. Yeah.
to live from the heart as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Melchizedek Labyrinth, right? That just that name in its on its own self.
Yeah, you see
It's
the first,
massively, there's huge symbolism in this.
yeah, there is
Right?
and a lot of
Yeah,
energy in it as well. You know,
yeah.
the name Melchizedek is found in the Bible, in the very first books of the Bible. And he was a priest and a king, and even blessed Abraham going to battle or coming from battle. So he would have been seen as maybe even a higher level than Abraham. And I can remember being a young boy going to mass on a Sunday in those long distant days back in Tipperary. And there was something about that name. It used to be mentioned, and his priest Melchizedek, and there was just something about the energy of that. So when I after I met Fanula, she was more into this side of stuff than I was, and she had a deck of angel cards. Only, you know, and she asked me would I like to pick one, and I picked one, and it was called Melchizedek's Labyrinth.
Mm.
And it was the first time in this lifetime that I've come across a labyrinth, and so you know the name obviously jumped out at me because it resonated with me on many levels. And so I started investigating, meditating with, and receiving guidance, I presume, from Melchizedek. But Melchizedek for me holds the cup of consciousness of humanity.
Love.
And so he's overseeing how humanity individually and collectively advances in consciousness. And so he is prompting me and many hundreds and thousands, millions even of others, to do what we can in our little way. First of all, to work on ourselves, and then to share what we have learned with others. So the Melchizedek's Labyrinth, he is often shown holding bread and wine or holding a cup, which for me is the cup of consciousness of humanity. And I spoke earlier on that when you go through the labyrinth, it makes a cup of your energy field.
Yes.
So that your energy field has that solid base that's grounding. It is focused on the heart in the center, but it's open to receiving divine light and divine guidance and love. So you're actually the cup of consciousness of humanity, what I call the Holy Grail. You are the Holy Grail. Each one of us is the Holy Grail. It's not out there, it's in here. And so the Melchizedek Labyrinth is bringing you into a state of oneness, first of all, with yourself. And
Love.
then when you're in a state of oneness with yourself, you can be in a state of oneness with others, with all of humanity, with all of existence, with even just it's beautiful state of wonder. And that's often the quietness of the mind that people experience towards the end of this session. There are no boundaries or barriers imposed. It's just like there's a spaciousness and an openness and a quietness and a calmness that is, yeah. I gotta be careful I get
Yes.
into it and I won't be able to talk anymore.
And as Tony zones out.
Yeah.
Karen's
So
out.
that's Melchizedek's Labyrinth. And see, I've been working with this labyrinth for 10 years. And I remember you mentioned I left my kind of senior management job and to write my book and to
Let's start this
get
part of your
space,
journey.
to
Yeah.
get space really. But a few weeks after, I was meditating in the morning, and how I've always thought that, yeah, there must be a way of using the labyrinth on a one-to-one session with people, because a lot of the time, most of the time people walk it, it's a physical
Mm.
labyrinth, 30 or 40, 50 feet wide, um, so I was meditating and it's almost like people say a download. I don't know what it was. I feel that I go out and get this information rather than it drops into me. How to use it. And so to use it with the finger tracing and with the divining rod. So that was 10 years ago now. But I give one or two trial sessions to people, fellow
Mm.
people on the spiritual path or therapists. And the first two people I shared with, I said, can you teach us how to do this? So they were, yeah, but then I realized, Jesus, there's a whole, from an insurance point of view, it took me, I got everything organized, but I never did anything. And then COVID came
Yeah.
5 years ago or more. And then I don't know where it came from. I posted something on Facebook. Look, I'm thinking of an online training in this notion. So
When COVID came, you posted
so,
something.
so when COVID came, I had the notion or the idea or the inspiration. I don't know what it was. I put a post up on Facebook saying I'm thinking of teaching people how to train in this online. If you're interested, just message me. It's about 20 people messaged me saying they were interested. I said, all right, it must be the timing. And so I started training people online in how to do this. And there are three levels. There's a foundation level, which is bits like Reiki, allows you to give it to friends and family. And then there's a practitioner level, which allows you to, work as a therapist, and to share this and be paid for it. And then there's a master level where you can teach. And I've only recently, would you believe, got a website up, melchizedek but there are almost 20 practitioners listed in, I don't know, I've trained people in 12 or 13 different countries at this stage,
Wow.
about 60 people. It's like, this is way bigger, way bigger than I ever thought it would be. It's a little bit of message or an insight for people. If you're thinking of doing something, just start and see what happens.
Absolutely.
If the energy is there,
Absolutely.
it'll take off. And if not, well, maybe it's not the right time.
Maybe it's
Just
not
wait
meant to.
and give it another moment. So there are people in, if people listening are looking for somebody to go to an in-person session, people in Ireland, in England, in Europe, in, I don't know, in Netherlands, Germany, Hungary, a number in the States, a number in Australia. It's like
Wow.
it's a bit mind-boggling to think that, gosh, did this all start with me meditating one morning, or was there a higher purpose that I'm
There's always a
fulfilling?
higher
That
purpose,
was
Tony. Yeah, there's
so.
always a higher purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there were people, one of the teachers she's based in the States, but she trained something like 6 people recently in Chile. And it's like
Wow.
in Spanish, because she's fluent in both
Wow.
languages.
Oh, this is
Never
amazing.
know, I'm getting goosebumps. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love this. I love hearing this because this is just, it's, I love when something like this spreads like sort of
yeah,
organically. You know what I mean? You put up a
yes,
post and
yeah,
suddenly everybody's there, they're present because it was resonating at that time
yeah,
that people needed this, and
yeah.
therefore you were there to provide it for them, and boom, it just
Yeah.
blossoms from there.
Yeah, and it's like you can't force things, you just have to almost allow them to be. It's a bit like the emotions, you have to allow them to be.
Yeah.
Okay, you knock on the door, or you knock a few times on the door, sometimes, to see if it opens. You just don't give up after the first time sometimes, just put it out there. Yeah, and so once or twice I've put out an online training. I think I'd only 1 or 2 people, so it didn't go ahead. I'd need a certain amount.
Mm.
But I would. I encourage people, try everything twice,
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes
The first
there's
time.
a great expression that I learned from Peter Cornish, in,
Yes.
well, from his book now, not from the man himself, in
Right. Yeah.
Blinded by the Light. He's the guy who
He established
founded the
Social there. Yeah. I'm
Deutsche
living
Welle.
only 20 minutes away from there.
I
So
know you do. That's why I keep passing by to go there.
yeah.
But he founded the Buddhist Meditation Center down on the Beara Peninsula. And one of the things he wrote in his book was that obstacles in the beginning are a good omen. You
All
know,
right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
just because things don't always work out the way you have this
Yes.
wonderful idea and you think it's going to be amazing and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I've used this this has saved me so many times because I make these plans of, oh, do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to organize such and such a thing and we're all going to go and it's going to be
Mm.
fabulous, and then nobody's available, and I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
okay, and then you kind of give up then at that moment and you go, all right, nobody's available. But
Yeah.
actually, if you just see it as that's an obstacle for a good omen, and then you
Mm.
go back and you do it again and you do it again. And at some point you have to stop and say, right, okay, the obstacle was there for a reason. It's not going away.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
oftentimes when the obstacle appears, it usually means that this is so significant, or this is going to be such a great meeting for everybody, or this is going to be so
Mm.
important, it's worth going again and going again. So yes, I'm a believer in not only just doing it twice, but 3 times. Three.
Three.
Three is my
Okay.
magic number.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it might be that you're not fully ready at that moment in time, or
absolutely.
I'm not fully personally.
Yeah,
I try
yeah.
and
And the
take
timing
everything on
isn't
myself, that
right.
I'm not, for some reason I'm not ready, either physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever way it might be, and even though I feel that I'm ready, and so again, yeah, put it out there again, knock on a
Knock on the
different,
door. Yeah,
yeah,
keep knocking on that door. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I will put a caveat on that, that sometimes like you can keep going back, but like my number is three. Three is my magic number. After that, I kind of know I'm not going to be going back anymore, but you're
Yeah.
not going to try and organize this anymore. This isn't for me at this
Mm.
time.
Yes.
And then that's just to say I'm parking it for now.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
going to continuously knock on a door that it's not been answered, but I'm going to park it because maybe next year is the year that the door gets answered.
Yeah.
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 And so never say never, but also don't be a fool.
And there's a lovely expression, follow the energy, so
Yes.
whatever is happening or isn't happening, there must be some energy in it,
Yeah.
so it's not like you're feeling drained doing this. I feel like I need to put this out there, and you put it out there and nothing happens, and you're going, was I
Yeah. Yeah.
look, I don't have all the answers to that. As you say, maybe park it or give it another go or two, and
Yeah.
then see where you're at, and
See
say,
where
okay.
you're at. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me, with the emotional regulation part of it, it is that if you keep going back to the empty well, you're never going to get water,
Yes.
right? So if you go to the well and it doesn't give you water, great. You might say, right, well, what is the energy? Where's the energy taking me now?
Mm,
It's taking me back to the well. Okay, so I'm going to try a second time to get water from this well, and I'm not getting anything. And you're going,
yes.
okay, now where is the energy really taking me? Am I supposed to bypass this well and there's another one, or where am I going? But you go
Yeah.
back to the well a third time and you get no water, and it's at that point then that you kind of say to yourself, right, where else can the energy take me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it could be that you're bypassing this well, and it could be that you're going off in a completely different direction, And then in 12 months' time, you might find yourself standing at that same well, which is now full of water. Yeah.
Just need a
And
shower,
such
just
is
need a
life.
shower of rain, yeah.
In this country, all wells should be full of water. That
Yeah,
way.
yeah, and it's lovely. Yeah, I'm even I don't know whether people listening are Irish or not, but I started shifting. People in Ireland, if it's raining, say, oh, it's miserable or it's
Yeah.
terrible or geez, there's disastrous out there today, isn't it? I say, is it?
Yeah. Is
What's
it?
disastrous? Who's miserable? Sometimes I say to people, it's like that we project sometimes onto the weather. The weather is just the weather. The weather is just
It is,
doing
yeah.
what it is, what it does, but yet we kind of allow it almost to close in on us if we're not careful. It's like it can be a bit like life. I think the weather is symbolic of, representative of maybe even a lot of things in life. You either assign an energy to it, or you just say, "Oh, well, it's a lovely wet day," you
Wet
know.
day. And in this country, there's a very good friend of mine. She's an American woman who now lives in Ireland, and she said
Yeah.
the one thing that always caught her in the beginning was that Irish people would look out the window and go, "Oh, it's raining!" Like we were surprised that it was raining. She goes, "How can you be surprised it's raining in this country?"
Even I put on the washing machine. I says, I'll hang it out later. And should I looked out the window? It was raining. I said, the
Yeah.
sun is shining. It was raining.
I
Huh?
keep saying to her, it's because we're the eternal optimists in this country that we will get a sunny day. It
Yeah.
will be a sunny day. And oh, it's raining.
Oh,
Okay,
great.
you mentioned your website, all right, and I need to
Yeah.
ask,
Hmm.
is there more than the training on the website?
There's information about the healing itself. There's a video or
Okay.
two and a lot of information so people can learn more on the website about the Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing. I also have my own website, which is a lot more other stuff on it. But this,
It's the other website I want because I
I have
want to
two
know where
websites.
people can get these
Oh, I didn't get them on my website. It's
on your website.
TonyMChristie.com. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put links to both of these underneath.
Okay.
And the
Yeah, you
reason
can put
I'm
them up
doing it
here
is
under
because
it when
I
you
want you to
email.
all try and get this on the camera so it's not
Yeah.
glaring. The sun is actually shining outside my window today. So this is a finger labyrinth that I got from Tony, and they're available on his website. I think I've sent them to just about everybody I know at this point.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. And I have it here on my desk, held down with a piece of blue tack 'cause the thing skates
Yeah.
across the table. The surface is shiny, so it skates on the table. So I use a piece of blue tack to hold it. And I was saying to Tony earlier, if I have 5 or 10 minutes in between clients, like if I have a pressure day where I have back-to-back clients or back-to-back work or whatever I'm doing, right? If I'm online talking in person, whatever it is, and I have those few minutes and I'm thinking, oh, I'm under a bit of pressure, straight down onto this and my finger to be tracing the spirals around. And within 5 minutes of doing that, just it also takes us 5 minutes of doing this, I'm like so calm and so zen. So much so that friends of mine have said, use the labyrinth before you come out with us tonight, so that I'm in a nice calm zen place. So
Yeah. Yeah.
these are available at a ridiculously reasonable price on Tony's website. The link is which is underneath. So I just wanted to tell people about that because that was something I got from you myself that I've used. I use it every day.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Wonderful. And
use it
that's
every
the
day that I'm working.
triple spiral labyrinth. There's three spirals and they can represent three things: birth,
Mhm.
death, and rebirth, or past, present, and future, thought, word, and deed. Um, Actually, now that you mention it, see, something comes into my head, I'm going to say it. When I was manager in that office, open plan office, and sometimes the staff member would come up and they'd something be going on with them, either work related or not related. I had a drawer full of print finger labyrinth on A4 sheets, and I says, when we'd finished dealing with whatever the issue was, I says, here, take this and have a go of it, trace it with your finger. You thought
Even
it was
back then, you were doing it.
Jesus, what's this fellow up to? But it's amazing how focusing on tracing your finger around a series of in between lines on a path or on one of
Yeah,
those, it actually quietens the mind. It quietens the
completely.
mind because it forces the overactive right side of the brain, masculine thinking side, to focus on a very narrow path, and it allows the intuitive receptive side to come up. So you become whole brained.
Yeah,
And whether walking it or finger tracing it, that's what happens. So it's a wonderful gift, a gift to humanity. That's what I think the
it
labyrinth
is
is.
indeed. They really are. And I can attest to the fact that they work because this little one that's here beside me on the desk has certainly helped to bring me back into myself and ground myself back in when I'm working on especially on a very full busy day. It's been really useful to help me just sort of reconnect back into myself for that sense of, I call it centered groundedness, where I feel like I know myself inside myself.
Yeah.
And then it's like no matter what the next client brings, I'm in the space to actually be present for them and to hold that space.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I mentioned that, the labyrinth, there are different types of labyrinths, but the ones we're talking about have just one path from the outside to the center. But symbolic of going to your center to find the space of peace and calm, or to access that there, so yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. You all need to go get them. Anyway, apart from that, on his website, I'm telling you now, Tony has brought you an amazing gift. He's giving you 50%, which is €50, off a Melchizedek, I swear that word sticks in my throat sometimes. Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing Session with Tony. So there's a special code you'll use when you go to book it, and you'll get your €50 off, as I say, 50% discount. It's a real unique opportunity to experience this deep energetic realignment. And you get to step into your healing journey, feel the power of release, clarity, and expansion, and you get to reconnect with your true essence through this transformation process. This is the word of warning. This is only going to be available until the end of January. So that once that, then the code won't be working anymore. So again, like I'm saying to you, get into the calendar, email Tony, whatever way we're going to do it, and just book your session. Okay, get it booked. You don't have to take the session by the end of January, but it does need to be booked before the end of January. Okay.
So when people book a session, I'll message them and we'll see what kind of dates and times suit them, because
that's perfect.
Depending on what country or part of the world people are in, we need to be
time zones.
Morning or late evening.
Time zones are wonderful. Yeah. Tony, thank you so much. As always, talking to you is a pleasure, and such interesting conversations that you and I have. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen, for this opportunity, for sharing some of what I came here to share, I presume.
You're doing what you're meant to be doing, Tony.